Hello people, and welcome back to part 40 of Ilos, our modded Cities Skylines build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome back, Ilos is alive, it survived the update, and an enormous thank you to Eggsy as always for his testing and help with getting Ilos alive and kicking again. Today we are going to be doing our first pedestrian build in Ilos, and it's going to be sort of a half new build and a half conversion. What we're going to do here today is pedestrianize all of the pedestrian waterfront, at least on the internal roads, and then up on this little elevation where we have the quay. We're going to be playing with some new wall-to-wall designs, and of course now we have access to mods and find it and move it and stuff, so we can do, hopefully, some more interesting things with the new assets. But otherwise, let's pedestrianize Ilos's downtown waterfront. Alright, so the first thing I'd like to do is actually just clear out a little bit of space where we can possibly place in our first service points for Ilos. So let's go into the pedestrian area, and then we're going to grab, I think we'll probably just go straight for a large pedestrian area service point, you know. Why don't we see what we can do with these? So it'd be nice if we could finagle them together in some capacity. So we might just go for one for the minute. I think one will probably be enough. Two is probably a little bit overkill, isn't it? So let's have the pedestrian area point here. We'll decide something else that can sit here. And otherwise, let's get the area painted out and then the roads pedestrianized. So here we go. Wasn't this area just made for this DLC? That is so good. So good, everyone. Oh, yes. So we have left some of the car parks in and actually functional. So, you know, we've maintained the road connection onto them. So, you know, people can park their cars here, exactly like this person's doing, and then walk into the pedestrianised waterfront now. Which, of course, there's no cars, and it's all this cute little side streets, and got our favourite California palms alongside the water and the fountain. Just tremendous. What a wonderful addition this is. So good. So good. So tremendously happy with this expansion, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying it as much as I am. But yes, we now have a pedestrianised waterfront. So really cool. Really happy to have that into Ilos. And now I'd like to extend the district up onto this level, indeed, where we can do some new spices with the new stuff that we've got to play with. So I'm going to carry on using the bluestone stuff here. I did want to use sandstone, but we've used sandstone for all the noobs guides. Pedestrian waterfront, so we'll use bluestone for this one. And again, we can pedestrianize this road, you know, like it was once a connection up to the oil refinery, but you know, things have since changed and it's all becoming pedestrianized now. Nice, isn't it? It's very nice, especially with the monorail. Oh, yes. Very happy egg, everyone. I'm a huge fan of this DLC. Right, so let's just carry on pedestrianizing some main frames, and then we'll see what we can do. So I'd like to get some new service buildings down here, and I'm thinking that we can make use of the new hospital, which indeed it does look like we can. Now, do we want to place this here? I think that's going to sit really nicely kind of over the waterfront, isn't it? What such a nice asset, isn't it? It's so good. Such a wonderful addition to the service pool. Yeah, but I think I'm generally on board with that as an overall design. So rather than giving a wall-to-wall specialization, or actually is there anything zoned here? It's all plopped, isn't it? So it doesn't really matter if I do wall-to-wall the zone. No, it doesn't. Okay, yeah, that's fine then. That's okay. So this pedestrian area has been painted out, that's fine then. Let's give it the residential wall-to-wall. So I'd like to continue the idea of sort of using the still functional car parks here. So I think we're going to bring in a little service road from our car parking roads. And then we'll just bring this up on an angle like that. That should be okay, I think. And then let's grab some car parking. Let's do 6 units out on each side. That should give us enough. We could also bring it out down here as well if we wanted to, and then use the node controller trick to turn them into bends and then close their offset. think that'll give us a slightly more impressive sort of car parking pattern, won't it? So if that's 8 units, we'll repeat that down this side too. Again, choose node controller and turn this into a bend and then close the offset. You'll get much sort of sharper car parks here. So we'll use this, people can park here as well, same concept as down here. People can leave their car nearby to the pedestrian area, then get out and walk. And then we'll also have some sort of, car parking service for the hospital. That'd be nice. We'll leave that in for right now. See how it grows on us. What I would like to talk about for the first time is the possible fusing of the new wall-to-wall stuff. There's a whole bunch of possibilities here as to what can grow in. So with the wall-to-wall stuff, just having access to find it should make these really cool. And again, we're still building in the skyline here. We're adding toward Ilos' skyline, so we need to be careful with what comes in. So I think up at the front here, I'd like to actually start with some taller buildings, some of these little numbers here. So why don't we see if we can piece a few of these together. Going for like that. And then is there another little corner unit that we can grab here that might work? So we can maybe grab one out that side. Now how does that work? Almost as like a block of modern flats, right? Quite impressive, I think, isn't it? We could double that up as well, make a larger block out of it, but we'll see what happens first of all. So let's come back into those pedestrian roads, and then grab the bluestone again, and then let's just sort of upgrade this entire top network now as to what's going to happen. Let's turn off collision too. That's why we come on so we don't destroy that pathway. Yeah, so all these frames here, basically everything around this main 4-lane road will become pedestrianised. Now we are merging back into kind of an older, grottier neighbourhood here, nearby to the ore refinery, so we'll want to create some kind of mergeable space between those two areas. We'll see what happens though. So let's go on to a road length as well, and then we're going to bring them through here. All this can become pedestrianised too. And yes, that's probably about it, I think, isn't it? There as well. No, let's not do that one, because then they can get back out onto the road if they need. And then this one can also come across. And then this can be upgraded as well. Splendid. Cool. Let's also sort of centralise our hospital a little bit. There we go. Looks like there's some possible detail to do out here as well with the flush concrete services between the car park and the new service building. That'll always be appreciated. And then same down onto the monorail as well. So we do actually get the little node here, or the pillar, but we can actually just move it away, which is tremendously helpful. Thank God for move it. Okay, I'd also like to do another one of those path connections up this side as well, because this monorail is hooked directly into the airport. So again, we'll see if we can create the little path connection there. Should work. This has worked for me before, so we'll hopefully see it work again. No, I guess we'll just keep an eye on it, see what happens. Right, so let's continue to play with the idea of fusible wall-to-wall. There should be some pretty decent combinations within this pack. And we can just see so many initial fusible shapes. Now there's some pretty large assets here, some pretty small ones as well. So then how about we complete the pedestrian road behind it. And then again we can save this space for some extended detailing out, some more gardens, some more of these tiles and planters, etc. And let's start piecing together a new pattern here. So we'll drop down another little layer. Again, is that going to work perfectly in a little block of 4? Looks like it might do. So we'll drag them into position first, then worry about their road connections after the fact. Let's get them together. First time I saw these buildings, I was like, these 100% need to move it. So we can fuse them all together like this. It's going to create like a little communal garbage collection area in the middle. I think I'm happy with that. And then we can just let all these assets just have a happy little hug. Come to sit in with each other against the waterfront. Again, now we know that we need that connection back in again to keep them serviced and whatnot. We can do that, and then any that are a little bit too far away, we just use a building spawn point Y scroll in order so it gets connected in. Again, there's even possibilities there where we could grab the 4 of them now and kind of centralize the design within this little plaza. Go ahead and throw down some service painter. And then perhaps some of the new plazas and promenade props would actually be quite welcome here. especially those cute little fountain ones, or maybe some of these. Been waiting for an excuse to use these. So if we were to maybe angle those fountains so they sit within the corners of this main plaza, it should give us a modern, sort of desirable look, right? That's what we're hoping for today. You'll have to excuse me any sort of inconsistencies or strange ideas that arise during our first few weeks of plazas and promenades. It's all about finding our feet with the new DLC and seeing what we think. Okay? But we're respecting the height again, aren't we? You know, we're popping up in the height here now with the skyline. It's important that we continue to respect that, even though we are playing with new ideas and whatnot. Okay, so let's see what else we've got. So we've also got these little sort of condo apartment looking ones, which are really, really nice. I'm a huge fan of these ones. So the level 5 ones, of course, are going to be the tallest. So let's place one of these in. I'm happy with that. And then you can tell what I'm trying to do here. I'd like to try and create a cohesive sort of condo complex that has these little walkable spaces between it. Okay, so if we were to bring in one right there. Okay, let's bring this one up to the corner a little bit, and this one can come back again. We'll do our building spawn point so everyone stays happy. And then we could even actually make it a functional walkable space if we want to. It's probably a waste of a node, and I'm not going to do this, but I'll show it anyway. You know, just a little path through there now with some surface painter. By the way, the Ilos mod and asset list has been updated for episode 40. It's all down below. It's all working with the new patch, so if you want to know what I'm using and how it's working, then just go download that mod list. It's all working now. Okay, but you can see what I'm trying to do here, you know, we now create these little spaces in the condo complexes where you can get access to the pool and the benches and, you know, some of the back flats or like the maintenance areas, and all of a sudden we've got these little alleyways of personality in and amongst the new assets, and it's the best. It's so good. Look at that. Let's please everyone. Starting to get some people moving around here now as well. Also on the quays. I realise this road here is a little bit sketchy, isn't it? The way it's sat against the quay there. It wants sinking down a little bit. We'll save that for our detail and time lapse. And then we'll hopefully see some people start walking around here as well now. Make sure they're not clipping with the quay. They don't see these a little bit. Yeah, it just wants sliding over, doesn't it? Okay. But it's cool to see some Ilos pedestrian vibes starting to develop. Cool. So we've got some residential patterns in. There's definitely some nice ideas to be had here with these. So now let's come over to the actual plazas part of the expansion and see what we can place in. So possibly a large glass roof plaza would work tremendously well here, actually, for framing the downtown, wouldn't it? Yeah, oh, yes. Is that something that we can't refuse? It would take some finagling to get in. Well, not really, it's really just kind of a case of breaking one of those frames. And then if we can have this sit directly on the entrance to the pedestrian space, with the monorail passing underneath the glass roof plaza. Ooh, yes. I don't think I'd be averse to that at all. But what I did want to try out, actually, before I got distracted by the glass roof plaza, it was the fountain plaza, to sit behind the monorail station. So I think we can get this in. Let's go ahead and give it a little rotate, and then we'll centralise it against the station. And of course, sensible amounts of service painter here. We're going to lead to many more detail opportunities with our props from the end of the build. Yes, all this wants to be painted as well. Tremendous. Cool. So now I think this would be a good shout to get involved with some of the commercial wall-to-wall stuff. So there's not too many assets in this one, is there? Let's go for this one here. So again, I'm looking to position them so they create these little open walkable plaza spaces. That's really a key goal of today's fusing, if you like. Yeah, why don't we see if we can just fuse the bottom pillars in together? And then you'll just see it. You know, we did this in the Noob's Guide as well during the stadium build. When you piece these assets together like this, you just get all these little open concrete spaces that have props on them and will function and have sims move around them because they're functioning commercial assets. It makes a world of difference, doesn't it? So good. So good. So modern as well. It's almost like, you know, like this was an older, sort of more dilapidated Mingin part of town that grew up from the refinery, you know, and perhaps some, you know, urban redevelopment projects have been passed and trying to modernize it all now and get rid of the old and out for the new, etc. You know, we sort of focus on the happy waterfront commercial where you can buy all your favourite products, but don't look behind you to the old industry that actually keeps all this fed with, you know, plastics and petrochemicals and whatnot. So we can be a little bit creative with the placement of the actual districts themselves as well if we want to. Right, cool. So again, there's another fairly chungus asset here, and it's just decided exactly where I want it to sit. I think possibly here again is going to help reinforce those little Plaza vibes, isn't it? There we go. Tremendous. We'll have one more in there, and then hopefully we've got just another asset that's happy to be placed in here as well. Let's be another one of these. Then we can just have this sit. Like that. Then before you know it, you've got all this space in the middle. That is amazing. Tremendous. So hopefully we'll see some more people actually come up and use the monorail now, because it's not a massively popular connection over to the airport, purely because the metros are there, but a lot of these stops need stuff around them in order for them to get busy, so hopefully that'll happen today. Okay, so I'd like to sort out this key if at all possible. Why don't we come ahead and grab all the nodes of it, drag this over so it's flush with the pedestrian path. Pretty sure that's what I'm after. And then we're going to want to grab this node here again as well. We're going to have to move it to grab just the node. Cool, there we go. Gives it a little bit more distance between the key and the path then, doesn't it? So that should hopefully look a little bit better. Make sure we surface paint all that up too. Tremendous. So I'm quite keen to have lots of this nice new commercial stuff facing out onto the road. So we've got some cute little corner units here again too, which would be nice to have within the area itself. So which ones are these? These are level 3s. So we'll see if we can then combine it with these ones. They're a little tall though, aren't they? Can we possibly get anything else in? So we're going to create these sort of flush shop fronts. It's very similar to modern city centre with the way these kind of piece together. So some ideas that can even be taken from that pack when we were playing with it back when it released. We'll have that one there. And then let's just move it just to grab all 5 of them. Then we can position them fairly centrally. Too bad so far, is it? I don't think. I think I'm mostly on board with it. Let's not forget about the new schools as well. Definitely things like the new high capacity elementary school. It will work really nicely within these spaces as well. So why don't we have this facing here? Again, that's going to be appropriately positioned so it respects the grander crawling height. We've got a nice little pop-in height there now. There goes the monorail too. Hello, monorail. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, yes. There it goes. Look at this for a little modern inner city district now, right? Just wonderful. So good. I just love this DLC. Probably my favourite DLC everyone. This has probably replaced Campus as my favourite one. I know people often ask what my favourite DLC is. Yeah, there you go. It's Plazas and Promenades now. Was Campus, but no more. Campus has been dethroned. It's going fairly well so far. So I'm not really bothered about the keys being walkable because they're right next to the pathways, of course. So I think this would be an opportunity to actually come in with a little bit of planter detailing, if indeed we do dare. So why don't we see what's possible? Let's turn on Prop Anarchy. Now you're not going to behave yourself with the terrain, are you? No, you're not. Not at all. That's okay then. So we could even actually bring them up in these spaces here, couldn't we? So let's throw these on a prop line tool fill. We're going to need to turn on Anarchy as well. So of course I could just use the tree-lined pedestrian paths here, but I'd rather have like a curated sort of purposeful planter design like the city have put it here. Okay, so let's start from this end and bring it right the way down the side. So that seems appropriate. And then remember that we're on a 30-meter spacing. Let's come in and find one of our fancier trees that we know we like. Definitely something big and green, I think. We just want to see where we can get this in. Yeah, I think something like this. Let's do that again as well. We will quicken the planter. And we should be okay. Yeah, we're good. Then we can bring this down. Probably some benches that can be brought into there as well, I think, right, in terms of detailing. Don't think it'd hurt, right? Let's give it a try. Let's go for a bench. And of course we can just use move it to mirror this pattern in a second as well. Liberal Arts is always a firm favourite bench, isn't it? I think Liberal Arts always does a nice job. Then yeah, I want to sort of place these now within the middle of each of the planter spaces, but we have to do it left to right, of course. So let's go for there. Yep, that's going to do nicely. Nice, happy, medium distances with prop line tool. Wonderful news. Let's then use move its marquee to grab nothing but props and trees. Grab all of those. We'll also allow segments to be selected as well, and then we'll come into move it. We're going to go for mirror objects. And then we're going to mirror everything opposite this middle segment. And that's going to throw it perfectly symmetrically on the opposite side of the pedestrian pathway for us. Saves you having to do it twice. I always use move it as well and just copy and paste it and rotate it around, but the mirror objects function is tremendously helpful for stuff like that, as you can see. Okay. It's not bad, is it? Gives it a sense of importance, which is always appreciated. So there's a couple more things I want to try before we have a look at a detailing time lapse today, and this is going to be the introduction of a little layer of height, a little tiered sort of step system for the pedestrian area. So I'm going to move my service point over a little bit. And we will also formulate sort of a little delivery area, sort of general service point vibes for the pedestrian area. What I would like to do is to see if we can align the node on the pathway here, essentially with the key step. And I want to grab that, and we're going to use the fine road tools. So actually we're using network anarchy now. We've condensed a bunch of our mods down, so no more key anarchy, it's all under network anarchy now. Same with the other one as well, which the name is escaping me at the minute, but I will, it's all in the description anyway, grab a look at it. Okay, so having it centralized would be nice, but it does kind of make the key a little bit redundant, which I think I'm happy with. I think we might actually lose the stairs in this key. Just go to key without the stairs. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll do that on this section, just so it changes it up a little bit. So let's go on to a road length as well, and then we'll do a touch more of a straight section. So we'll just bring this straight down to here, but I think I'd rather do some cute little curves. So let's do a little 5 curve, and then we'll bring this down to about here. And then we'll come down to ground, and then this can connect in. I'm just quite keen to see how this will look with different people sort of walking across it. Let's go ahead and elevate up by a couple of steps here and there, just so we begin to clear that key wall. Maybe quite the elevation. Hopefully that's not too noticeable. Seems to be alright. I think it is, isn't it? Cool, yeah. Key wall comes into it now. Sort of molds around the pathway. Cool, alright. It's not too bad. It's definitely an idea that could be expanded, I think. So let's bring some service bays out this way. I'd also actually like to use some of these pedestrian roads to replace path connections, such as this one. Yes, delete the pathway, that's fine. Yeah, I'd like to have it come in here if possible. Then we could use node controller. Let's square everybody off. And then I'd just like to shift out the green node so it's a little straighter. Okay, and that'll give us the... we actually save a node there because it's connected from node to node. There's no node in the middle. That will just give us a little bit of connectivity between the tram waterfront and the actual pedestrian area itself, hopefully now. You going to use it? Yes, there we go. He's using it. Tremendous news. Wonderful, wonderful. Cool. So that works. Yeah, so what we'd like to do is actually come in with a little bit of industrial road. Just a little 1 unit one I think will be more than appropriate. Now, I do want to bring you under. Are you going to clip horrendously? No, it looks like there's plenty of clearance there. And then just come off of road length. And I'd just like to use this road here as an excuse to perhaps drop in some more prop detailing. We can do some containers during our detailing time lapse. Perhaps a little bit more concrete space of welcome, you know, just some sort of general admin and service area for the pedestrian space. You know, it's not all sunshines and fountains, for example. It's, you know, the shit has to go somewhere, so to speak, doesn't it? You know, it can't just all disappear into thin air. It has to be processed in some capacity. And then I'm also thinking now, if we come into our taller workshop trees, we can formulate. We can probably actually do this with one of our forest brushes. I bet the Ilos lush belt would actually perform quite nicely here as a little sort of bit of green space between the car parking and the actual pedestrian area itself. I also think I'm not against the inclusion of some literal green space as well. Perhaps a little bit of the old grass painter here would be ideal. I think we need to bob the service points, don't we? Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and bob them. We do have some grasses and trees on them, which are not welcome. Yeah, we want rid of the sugar maples. And then there's those tiny little grass props there as well. Where are they coming from? And then, do we have a fencing on this? Yes, we do. We actually have the industrial vanilla fence on this, which is tremendously handy. We can use that with our prop line tool fill. On that, let's make sure that fence fill is ticked. Now if we just draw this out from here now with linear fence fill, we should just be able to create an extension of that fence, almost like it is a little gate. And then I'm pretty sure actually there is an accompanying gate for this fence. Yes, it's this one here. Let's turn off the brush size. Hopefully one day that will be fixed. It's the most annoying thing, but maybe one day. Yeah, and then let's just have this light here. I'm happy with that. And then we'll just get this on a single placement. And then we can just create a little sort of extended fence area for the promenade here. Let's actually come back onto the fence fill. And hopefully we can continue it up to there. Alright. Not too bad. I think I want to thin out a few of the saguaros here. There's quite a few of them. Get rid of bulk of them. Probably need to turn the saguaro strength down in that brush actually. That is not a good palm to saguaro ratio. And then let's go into large trees, and I think I just want to embellish the pattern now with a couple of really tall Californias. I think we'll trim it off here as well, and actually leave like a little bit of green park space where people can actually come and sit and enjoy. And I think some thicker, leafier green trees would be welcome here too. Some of these stuff. So then we just get this little sort of green, you know, walk by as people come down into the waterfront. We'll pass by a bit of the sort of admin and maintenance industry for the area. Hopefully this is doing okay for delivery. Yeah, it's not having much issue with garbage collection. Otherwise, everyone seems to be fairly happy. Got some detailing we need to do here with the bridges and stuff. And then there's some older detailing that has to be cleared up here as well. But is this now my favourite area of Ilos? I think it is. I think it is. I feel like I'm saying that every week now. Every time we build something new, it becomes the favourite area. But that's a nice little extension for the service point, isn't it? A little bit of the old vanilla industrial fencing. Happy with that. Well, we're even coming in. We're actually using the little industrial road there to access the service point, which is nice. Even though the front of it is here, and that's a little strange, but there's a lot of intercity buses coming through here. You guys alright? Have I pedestrianised your... Confused? Oh, no. We have a lot of confused buses. What the hell? Los Palma, confused. Confused. Okay. There's a lot of confused buses. A lot of confused... I mean, I did just delete... I deleted a station here at the start of the episode. Maybe they were all coming to that station. There's a lot of them, though. There's an intercity bus station here you guys can stop at. There's one right here. Don't want to come use that? No? Okay, whatever. They'll clear away. Just ignore the mass spam of confused bus. Cool. So we've got the little layering now. That's going to be wonderful. There's plenty of prop detail to be had there as well. So the last thing I'd like to do now before we move into a detailed time lapse is just create a little bit of development space between this suburb and the old one. I'd almost leave like a little bit of sort of mini preparation construction site like we've done in Ilos before, you know, using the tiny little chain link fences to create like a industrial site that's in the progress of being made, or process of being made, I guess. What I would like to do with this area is to come in and grab some of that chain link fencing. So, you know, it's been demolished up until here, so let's throw that on a fence fill. Have this run a couple of sections. And then indeed, probably up until here. Okay, so we'll just box off this entire section. We'll leave a space for a gate, you know, sort of like site entrance for people that might be working here. There we go, we already have the gate with us. That's tremendously helpful. Thank you very much, find it. And then we'll just use the fence fill again here to draw that out. And I hope you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So we now just have like a area here that was once this sort of housing, right? Quite run down and old and knackered like we have at the foot of the refinery, all through the city. It's all boarded up and kind of nasty and not particularly desirable places to live. But it's now being redeveloped. So which we can do that with the chain link fencing. And I think a little bit of Ilos dry belt in there. And then we definitely have some props within our asset list that are more industrial themed. That would be more than appropriate here. So perhaps they've got some cement mixers ready here to go to build the next set of water wall. So perhaps a crane that's been dumped over here as well, alongside a road paver ready to do the pedestrian roads. We could also bring in a tower crane as well. It's a little big for what I'm after, but I guess it'll work. Okay, we'll have that over here. And then, again, there's plenty of these, like little sort of like foreman huts now we can have. You know, maybe at the site entrance where they report in. And then there's a couple of trucks sort of waiting here to deliver the bluestone that's going to be put into the ground and paved by the builders and whatnot. And then, you know, there's loads of this sort of stuff in there. We could be here forever. just prop detail, and then perhaps some of our random trash props as well. Just alongside the edge of the fence and where things have been thrown over by the general public. Okay, and then maybe a shipping container or two as well, something like that. And that'll probably do it, I think. Again, yeah, there's endless variations of this. It's crazy. If you're looking for an insanely good prop detailer, please do check out If You Can Do. Just so much inspiration for prop detailing like this, for filling little areas. It's made an enormous difference to my gameplay. Okay, but you get the general idea, you know. This has been destroyed. It turns into this whilst they're renovating it to eventually turn it into this. Okay, that's my thought process with this detailing. And it should give us a happy little mergeable space between less desirable residential and, you know, much more desirable pedestrianised residential of this side, okay? So I think I'm going to run with that. That should be quite a fun idea. But otherwise, guys, that does feel like a good place for a detailing time-lapse. We're going to carry on using Find It and piecing together some more wall-to-wall specialisations. And lots of detail and surface painter. Get props in here, benches, all the new food trucks. Props that we've got off the workshop they've used before, of course. And then do a little bit of network multi-slope here where it's required. Just where it kind of comes up a little bit too soon. Also remove the parking and just generally tie in the areas, bits of detail in here that needs to be finished, like the fencing against the train line. Then also the key work too. And then do a little bit more industrial prop detailing over this space and maybe place in a garbage service point as well. And we'll just see how the area copes with its demands. More surface painter, dropping our car parking spaces, lots more plopping and prop detailing. And to all tie into the Ilos pedestrianised waterfront, which has turned out so nicely. A huge fan of this. Look at that for a view. Walking into the city, right? That's one of my money shots. Should we have a little nighttime preview before we go into the detailed time lapse? Just a gentle tease. Oh, hello. Elizabeth Hancock. I didn't mean to click on you. There's the money shot, everyone. Yes, please. That's probably your thumbnail. If you're watching the video, you have to let me know if it did end up being the thumbnail, because I haven't decided what is yet. But otherwise, let's detail the Ilos pedestrianised waterfront, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a detailing review, shall we? So I feel like I'm saying this at the start of every detailing review now. This is now my favourite area of Ilos, as everything else is. Oh, hello monorail. Yes, there we go. That's why. That's why it's my favourite area. So outside of the hospital, we have placed in a child healthcare centre and wrapped the car parking around it. Then, rather than just having more concrete space, I thought I'd just open things up with a little prop line tool fence and some water features, with some general trees around them as we merge back into more plaza space here. And we've gone with some slightly thinner, repeated residential patterns, which does have its place. We'll see how this blends into the overall theme. And one thing I absolutely love about this area is the construction transition, you know, so the old sort of nastier suburb here is being demolished slowly to be replaced with modern sort of postmodern art condo complexes, right? Super cool. I love the way this has turned out, these construction props. Just a construction prop set pack on the workshop. Really handy to have for like city detailing, really happy with it. And then furthermore, we come over into some more sort of inner city greenbelt where we're greeted with a little Ilos rock garden, always a classic detailing palette. And another thing I'm just immensely happy with is the little key layer that we integrated into this side of the city. It's just, oh, it's turned out so nicely. I'm a huge fan of all the networks around here, how it all interconnects, where it does become pedestrianized, and there's more stuff over here like where it's sort of an abandoned lot ready to be sort of, you know, purchased and then developed. And it's just so cool. So happy with the networks themselves as the build as well. Anyway, let's come into the actual plaza area itself. So around here we've carried on bringing in some more repeated condo patterns, which I'm really happy with. It adds so many layers and little sort of depth onto the actual buildings themselves. And then we have some actual plaza detailing where we have extended the bluestone tiles using the prop line tool with some tables with umbrellas on them and a couple of food stands. And then the fountain in here as well with another one of the plaza assets in here. Where we have a little Green Cities cafe where people can grab a coffee. And then we do have some new planter designs again using the plazas and promenades props. So we have some bollards with the planters in a little prop line tool fill with some new benches and an acacia. And then we just have this running for the duration of the quays, which helps us kill a little bit of that concrete space. But keeps it nice and open as well. It's one thing I love about this part of the city is it's very open, it's very airy. It's really nice just to look at and hang out, and oh, there's so many nice views from here, especially with the skyline behind. Oh yes, and that crane. Yes, and then furthermore to that construction vibe, we've also dropped in one asset on this side as though, you know, this one has finished construction. And they're now preparing supplies and resources and whatnot to move on to the next tower, etc. Okay, so hopefully that sort of comes across in some porta cabins as well. Up the main street, we've extended the pedestrianised main street, which goes down onto the waterfront itself, with some tasteful vanilla assets, alongside some of our favourite workshop stuff as well, like the California Pizza Kitchen, in with some University City vibes. Then we come down again where we got some more extended tiles out with the same benches that are on the plazas themselves, just so it looks as though it's something of a natural extension back out into that area, and a big love for the oil refinery here too. And a quick note on the monorail, why it's just reminded me, this build has like really triggered the use of it back into the airport, so nice and busy public transport links coming together now. Then we have the glass roof plaza that we placed in the episode. Then we come down this street here, and it's just so nice coming down this bit now, isn't it? It's so cool. And then the view to the downtown from here as well is just truly special. Hopefully we'll have a monorail coming to join us in a second. There we go. There he is. There it goes. Wonderful. It's just so busy and so walkable. And you know, for a city of 100 and what is it now? 102,000 people, we are just having a wonderful time with traffic. Oh, this is a downtown. This is all high density, unique buildings. There's a lot of reasons for people to come here, and it's all just walkable and amazing. Absolutely love it. I continue to box off the service points with that vanilla industrial fencing on the prop line tool fill, and then just dropped in a couple of containers and truck props as well, just to expand it out. And I do like the fact that the administration of the pedestrian area itself is visible here and fenced off. You know, it's integrated into the area quite nicely, so I'm pretty happy with it. And then this little pathway up here to the hospital does get the occasional bit of use. It's not the busiest thing in the world, but it's a nice little variation along this main front. And then we do have the fountain over here, of course, which is all being surface painted up now. And then I'm really happy with this larger sort of chunk of apartments. It may look like it's one larger asset, which I'm a huge fan of. That's sort of much needed in the game, I think, having some chunkier assets like that. So we can fuse them together to create some nice vibes. And then there's also some more prop detailing happened on the internals of the residential bit, alongside some planters and benches on the sort of internal forecourt of these fused residential blocks. A quick comment before we say goodbye. I'm just so immensely happy with how all of the surrounds of the main Ilos sort of inner city downtown have turned out. You know, we have sort of our American eclectic theme here, looking down to the governor's office. This looks quite official, quite corporate, which is exactly the vibe that we wanted. And then, you know, heading over to Main Street here, we've got that sort of tower vibe with all our condo patterns that we've generated. And it's sort of, you know, still built up over this side. And then towards the west, it's all sort of sport and university themed and just, oh, so cool. And then, of course, the view from the Sky Harbour as well. Just so immensely happy with how this city is turning out, everyone. I think, I don't know, the Plazas and Promenades expansion has kind of made me fall in love with Cities Skylines again, if you will. It's, yeah, and just to combine it into everything that we've already learned and everything that we already have access to. It's truly wonderful. One of my favourite builds and definitely my favourite city that we've done on the channel, I think, at this point. Really enjoying Ilos, and I hope you all are as well. If you are, then please consider leaving me a like, comment or a share below. It really helps bring more people to my channel. There's also links down to instant gaming and merchandise below if you want to get yourself something in return for supporting the channel. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you so much for all of the support. Please hang around for some cinematics. This thing's going to look fantastic at night time, so enjoy that view to the skyline, of course. I'll leave some fairly spine-tingly cinematics in today, I think. Alright, otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.